As I got older, I kind of found Amy Winehouse,
Yes.
Lauryn Hill, and Stevie Nicks, and India.Arie, and Corinne Bailey Ray.
You're speaking my language, girl. Can you sing Just Like a Star for me, please?
Oh my God, that is like literally, like I want that song to be in my wedding. I love that song.
Oh, I love it too.
I love that song so much.
Just like a star.
Just like a star across my sky, just like an angel off my page, you have appeared into my life. Feel like I'd never be the same.
Life Rhythms with Ryan Skyy. Observing the world around me, looking inward, trying to make sense of it all.
And if the stars don't shine, I'll light the sky for you. And you don't have to do too much, just know that.
Welcome to Life Rhythms Radio Show. I'm your host, Ryan Skyy. Life Rhythms family, Idobi family. I'm excited because I have here in the studio with me SAYGRACE, a soulful pop artist out of Australia. You can say hi now.
Hi, everyone.
It's always kind of like a little bit of an awkward moment. They're like, can I say hi? I'm excited to have you on the show today. SAYGRACE is my guest, and I first saw you. You did a acoustic performance at Soho Warehouse in downtown LA. Mm-hmm. And just, I had all the feels, like, just,
I love that.
We share a love for all the soulful artists, Lauryn Hill and India.Arie and the classic singers. So I wanted to have you on the show because I'm like, I don't know, I want to know your story. And even when I look online and I see interviews, they're like little tiny little, they're like the standard thing of like, you're at an event or it's like a 2-minute thing or a 1-minute thing. And I was like, I would really love to have Grace on the show and have a heart-to-heart with her and just really like get to know you as an artist and a human and see if we can share some stories for your fans and talk about the music and stuff.
Absolutely.
So I'm excited to have you on the show here on Life Rhythms. And when we're going to take a break, but when we get back, we're going to be playing Grace's music. Maybe she might do a little impromptu a cappella singing for us, possibly. Lots of storytelling, right? Really, like we run
all
the
the
gamut.
good things.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll see you back here on Life Rhythms.
And if the stars don't shine, I'll light the sky for you. And you don't have to do too much, just know that.
I've done 58 interviews or whatever on here. I've never ever an issue ever. Like everything always recorded. I've never had to redo anything. And this last interview I recorded, it was the first time on air. I'm just speculating, but it was the first time out of 58 interviews that I actually like prayed beforehand and was like asking God to be in the conversation. And then I was telling the guest, I revealed to the guest, like, it just came up in conversation. I had got baptized like 2 days before. Oh, wow. And I said this stuff on air and all the cameras stopped working and the whole interview is lost and we're having to redo it.
Oh,
which
spooky.
Which I'm okay with, but it's just very interesting. It's like 50 plus interviews and the first time that I speak spiritually in a recording, all the cameras malfunction and sabotage the interview and that conversation's lost. And we're going to redo it, but it's like, we're not going to try to like rehab the same conversation. It's just, this show's always just supposed to be natural, organic, like just go with the flow.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting.
That's really strange.
Isn't it?
Yeah. I wonder why.
Yeah.
That's odd.
And it's like he said, after that happened to me, it didn't happen to anybody else.
That's so bizarre.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's weird. You have to wonder, like, is it sabotaging or I don't know what you believe, but
yeah, I don't know. I was expecting you to say something positive, not like there was a problem.
Yeah. I was expecting it to be positive.
Yeah.
I was like excited about it because it was a really sweet conversation. I'm like, I'm so excited to share this with people. Like, huge audience is going to hear this.
Right.
No. So,
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I grew up Catholic, so like religion has always been a very big
Can you come closer to the mic?
A very big part of like my upbringing. Like I grew up going to church every Sunday, like very strong beliefs in religion. And that obviously sort of changed as I grew and like found my own relationship with God and spirituality and all that stuff. But
What do you mean it changed?
I mean, it became less like, I think for me, it was always freer than maybe most like typical Catholics, because my mum converted. So she had sort of found her own way. Like even when it came to praying, like my dad is very much like, he will say a prayer from the like written out, like man-made prayers. And my mum would be like, just talk to God how you would talk to me or your friend or anything. So that's how, so I always had a sort of more relaxed relationship and connection to it, because I think she sort of had to find her own way. And my dad grew up like whole side of the family, super, super religious, very Catholic, like very strict about it.
Yeah.
And I think having her influence kind of allowed me to explore it with a little bit more freedom. And then, you know, I think the man-made parts of the church don't necessarily resonate with me anymore, but I still pray. I still have a relationship with God. I think it's probably expanded beyond like Catholicism and those teachings. But yeah, I definitely believe in a higher power, and just, not in the, like, I don't go to church every Sunday anymore, and that kind of stuff has changed, but I still can't imagine like not having that connection with a higher power.
Yeah. It's there's such a variety of experience right now from like what you had said on the one side. You have like the very traditional Catholic church, and the other side you have very experiential church. And it's like I'm hearing stories about Gen Zers driving several hours to go attend like a Latin mass because they're just, I think it's just speaks more so to the cult, like where we're at right now in culture, and they grew up in such chaos that I feel like for them in this moment, they are really the ones that are doing that. Not all Gen Zers, but they are craving structure and tradition and feeling connected to that. I, like you, I went to a Catholic boarding school, private school growing up.
Same Catholic private
Yeah,
school.
I have.
I feel you.
Yeah, I have it. Well, I have your Wikipedia here. I was gonna like highlight these things, but we're just rolling start. Yeah, so I grew up in the strict way that you said, and my dad was very strict Catholic. My mom converted. Also.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And when your mom, like, what was she beforehand when she converted?
I don't think she was anything.
Was she like a free spirit?
Yeah, there was no like specific religion in their household. It was just sort of, there was no like one belief or religion. It was just open. And then, my dad was not going to marry someone that wasn't Catholic. So it was you know, you got to go through this process if we're going to get married. Yeah. And she did. And I think she, like, now has a very strong faith. And, like, you know, it wasn't just, I think she found herself in it as well. It wasn't just about, like, you have to do this to get married. I think she genuinely found a lot of value in having something to believe in. But yeah, it was definitely a more free approach than what my dad's traditional upbringing was, and how he would approach things in terms of religion. In another interview, I heard you mention that your mom, she was always like painting and making crafts and stuff. So yeah, she's very creative. She's an incredible writer, like story writer, a beautiful illustrator. She's just one of those people that, like, she can, if it is in a creative lane, she'll figure it out and she'll do it. Like, you'll be like, how the hell did you like do that so well? She just has a natural knack for that. And she can kind of sing, like, she can definitely hold a tune, but it's not something she would have like pursued. But she is definitely a creative spirit for sure, and always encouraged all of us to follow those pursuits.
Does your dad sing?
No, he's like opposite direction.
What the heck? Because they both your parents are musicians, right? They toured with the Bee Gees.
My grandparents.
Oh, your grandparents.
So my grandparents on my mum's side.
Okay.
Both singers, and and then that's really it in the family. Like my dad is not a singer or creative in any way, shape or form.
Oh, okay.
And then my older brother Conrad sings as well. So
Yeah, I was wondering where that came from. I so because it says your family was musicians. So you started writing when you were 9 or 10, right?
yeah, pretty young. Like as soon as I could kind of wrap my head around it, I wanted to try. And I remember just like falling in love with songwriters and just big captivating voices very early on, and then wanting to try and do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were you in this boarding school? What age were you in that from?
It wasn't boarding school. It was just a private Catholic school.
All Hallows School and Our Lady of Lourdes.
They're gonna love the shout out.
I love it. I was like, this is so interesting.
All
In
Hallows
Brisbane.
and Our Lady of Lourdes. But yeah, that was my primary school. So from 6 to 10 or 12, and then I went to All Hallows from 12 to about 16,
Okay.
and then I came here.
Did you have nuns as teachers, or like how traditional was it?
All of the nuns had moved on by the point that we like actually went to high school. There was still a couple that would sort of go around the grounds and scare everybody.
Yeah.
Because they were definitely older and like very scary and serious. But we didn't have any as teachers. It was
Okay.
We'd got there just before I think all of that had been sort of filtered out.
Me too. I think we were lucky because I always heard stories about the teacher nuns.
Yeah.
We had one nun left, and she was the principal, Sister Nancy.
Wow.
She had quite the she was like, we were all scared of Sister Nancy. Sister Nancy. And interesting is Butler Catholic was the school, and Butler is the town that Trump was the first assassination attempt.
Oh.
In Western Pennsylvania, that small town of Western Pennsylvania. That's where I grew up.
Oh my God.
That's where I grew up and went to high school, and my whole family's there.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. But I don't know why I brought that up. I just because I was thinking about the school's Butler Catholic, and fun fact. So the reason I'm asking these questions is because you started writing at this time in your life, and I'm thinking about you're in the school, and I'm wanting to paint a picture for myself and people listening. What was that time like for you? Like, were you going in uniforms, kind of like a strict vibe, but then going home and you're like writing songs, diary kind of a thing, or?
Yeah, I mean, it was very full uniforms, hats, had to wear hats. Like blazers, all the whole thing. But yeah, and then I was always just like, I don't really remember when it started, but I just started writing super, super young. And I remember like trying to voice note into my blazer pocket in class and stuff like that. And then
Really?
I signed a small publishing deal when I was about 14. And then that kind of took me overseas, and I was able to do writing camps in Sweden and the UK, and a lot of stuff in London. And that it got a bit more serious. All of a sudden I was like working with actual professionals in the field who are much older than me, and I was really learning how to write songs. It wasn't just like me in my bedroom trying to make some stuff up. It was like, okay, I'm like a real adult in this workforce now. Not workforce, but like professional environment, and learning how to do this properly as well. So that kind of was the start of me entering into the industry in a real way.
Okay.
About 14, 15.
And when you refer to yourself as an adult, but we're still talking like teens, right?
Yeah, I was 14, 15 years old, but everybody around me was so much older. So it's just like, okay, like you've got to be on and get, like, you no time to mess around, and also you need to prove yourself in these situations. So it's like,
wow.
Yeah, it was just, but it was fun as well, and it was amazing, I think, to kind of get that education so early of learning from people so much more experienced than me, and getting that was like priceless, I think.
Was this your first time traveling to these cities, or had you already been traveled?
My dad is British, so we would go back and forth. Growing up, we'd usually go there for Christmas or something like that, at least once a year, and see his family. So I had been doing like Europe and London and those sort of, I've been traveling internationally since pretty young, but that was the first time me going completely by myself, just doing these trips.
When you're going by yourself, how did your parents, how was that? Were you like, did you get advice when you were being sent off? Were you nervous? Was your family nervous for you being in these other countries and this music industry with adults and, you know, or was it more of like a chill, laid back vibe? What was it like for you?
I think,
because like my mom wouldn't even, my mom would watch Oprah, you know, and they would have like, you know, these stories on Oprah about missing children and et cetera, and then for the next at least couple weeks, like, you know, we couldn't be more than like a block from the house or something,
right.
You know, and we had to be home before it was dark out. So I don't know,
right?
I don't know if she ever would have let me leave.
I think it was like a studio house called The Kennel, and the guy operating and running the company was, I think my parents trusted him enough to feel like I was safe there. He was already working with my brother. He was Australian, and just good people. I still have a relationship with him to this day. Incredible guy. And yeah, I think they just like felt like I would be safe.
Okay.
And I had like assisted travel for the plane trips and that kind of thing, where they just like assign you a flight attendant to walk you through security and do all that stuff and check on you through the flight. So I felt safe. I didn't feel scared. I don't know. I'm sure they felt scared, but I remember my mum saying to me that like with those trips and also just deciding to move to America so young, she was like, you were going, like there was nothing we could do to stop you.
Wow.
So it was like, I'm sure they felt all kinds of emotions, but I think I had a pretty stubborn head on my shoulders at that point, and I knew what I wanted to do, and it was just like, well, this is just what is required of me, so here I go. Like, I'll be fine.
I love that. This is so interesting because when I used to live in New York City, one of my now best friends is also from Brisbane, and I had met her in New York, and she had moved to pursue a career in fashion, and she had the same kind of mindset of like, well, I don't know, I'm here because this is where you go, and she was just gonna forge a path for herself in the city.
I think Australia, and I don't want to like talk negatively about it at all because it's such a beautiful place and I'm so grateful I got to grow up there. But I think if you do want to do something in a creative field, you sort of recognize early that there is very much a glass ceiling on what you're able to achieve. And the people that I was looking up to, and I felt like, okay, this is the sort of level that I would love to be able to achieve, were all doing their thing overseas. So it was like, I can't really like want that for myself, but then stay here. It was just like, okay, this is what you have to do. Like, so yeah, I feel like if you are there, you sort of just, that clicks in pretty quickly and you're like, all right.
You started writing the 8-9 and you're getting your first publishing deal years later. And how did that come about? Or is it because of family already being in the music industry? Like, were you starting out doing it more as a hobby, or from the beginning were you like, I want to do this, I've got the bug and this is what I want to do?
From the beginning, I was definitely like, this is what I want to do. My brother, who's also in the industry, is 10 years older than me. So he definitely helped open doors for me. And I think I don't even remember how it happened fully, but I think I like sort of showcased for Hayden, the guy who ended up signing me for publishing, and I just sung for him and maybe played him some things that I had just written by myself. And he was like, yeah, let's come out and like keep writing and just keep developing you, basically.
Was he that casual about it? Because I feel like, I mean, I love your voice. It's such a unique, beautiful, soulful voice. And if you, like, I was just thinking, yeah, all you have to do is sing for somebody, they're going to sign you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, but so was he like, okay, yeah, sure, yeah.
No, I mean, he definitely
we'll work with you. And inside, he's like, oh my god, yes, I can't wait to work with her.
He definitely, I think, appreciated my voice. I was still so young at that point, so I'm sure I sounded like a little baby, but I think he obviously heard something. and then was just like willing to take a chance on furthering those skills. And that's exactly what we did for the next like couple years until I came out to America.
So you signed your publishing deal. When did you start working with RCA?
So at like about 16, I came out to the States for the first time, ended up showcasing for a few different labels. RCA was one of them. And out of everybody, they just felt like they got it the most. That felt like home. They offered me a deal. I came home, dropped out of school, and moved here. So
just like that.
Just like that.
I mean,
pretty much.
Did you feel? Everyone struggles to a degree, but did you feel like some things were happening smoothly enough that it felt like it was meant to be for you, or is it just because we're getting the highlights right now? Like, was it really tough for you to break in? For
sure. It was like, I think when you're so young that you're like untouched by the world yet, and your ability to create things in your life is just so effortless and seamless because you just don't have much doubt yet. So I think that was a reason, or at least part of the reason why things did move quite smoothly, because I just had no doubt in my mind. It's like, this is what I'm going to do. That's going to happen. It's inevitable. It's just a matter of time. And I just have to keep like showing up the way that I'm showing up and keep trying and keep doing my best. And like, it's going to of course it's going to happen.
I love this. Is this a cultural thing with Brisbane, or is this a you thing? Because doesn't Brisbane, is Australia kind of like have the poppy syndrome?
Yeah, for sure. No, I don't think it's a cultural thing. I think,
which, can we just call that out for listeners in case they don't know what that is?
Yeah, it's like, it's kind of hard to explain. They refer to it as tall poppy syndrome, but it's like nobody can be better than anybody else. Nobody can. It's almost like you're a bit of a. I'm trying to think of the word without like saying something really. It's a culture
that encourages people to kind of like fall in line.
Yes.
Stay the same, and they kind of discourage people who want to stand out.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
Who do you think you are? Like, oh, you think you can be? I'm not saying this is the culture.
Sort of like making fun of you.
You think you could be a singer?
Right.
You know?
It's like having goals and dreams is a sign of arrogance, and they don't like that. They want everybody to be super down to earth and, you know, not think that they would even be able to achieve something like that. It's a strange mentality, and not everybody is like that, but it's definitely a thing within Australian culture. So it didn't come from that. I think it came from obviously like a deep knowing that I just wanted this and didn't really have a backup plan, didn't feel passionately about anything else the same way that I did about music. And I also think my mum played a big part in it too. She was very much like, you can do whatever you set your mind to. And yeah, it kind of just happened. I don't really know entirely where it came from, but it was just, that was very much my mindset. It was like, yep, this is what I want and this is going to happen. And then everything sort of did just flow pretty seamlessly. And I remember I came to the States, they offered the deal. I came home, dropped out of school, and then I had like 2 months where everything was being negotiated, and I got a job at a cafe and like worked for a couple months before I made the full move while they were sorting out the deal and everything. And yeah, it was like, there was definitely a couple moments of just like, when is this gonna happen? And like, is this still happening? But it did. And having like a normal job for just a couple months just reaffirmed everything all over again. That, like
this is not for me.
Like I can't believe that people do this. Yeah. Like, how soul crushing to just like rinse and repeat the same day over and over again. And like, it was sort of fun at first, the novelty of like, ooh, like a new place, new experience. And then very quickly I was just like, oh my God, no, I cannot do this. Like, this is... It's not for me.
Wow. Yes. I went through the same thing. I worked in corporate for a while. I tried different paths, and I did the whole, like, I lived in New York City and had like a cushy like job luxury apartment on the water and the American Express card and like the going out to dinners all the time. And I was working in marketing, and I just, after a year, I just felt so empty inside. I was like, I can't, this is not sustainable. I was so unhappy. And then the person I was dating, and at the time we broke up, and that was like my moment to like go for music.
Yeah.
I was like, this is my moment. I'm not responsible for anybody. You know, I can rough it out. Cause like, you know, to be an artist when you're starting out, you're not rolling in the dough for a while. So, you know, if you don't have responsibilities and you're willing to go through that, like that's great. Do it. But it could be harder if you have kids, or if you have a partner, or you're, you know, other responsibilities. So you kind of got to like take the moment and run with it.
For sure. Absolutely.
You had mentioned earlier about that deep knowing, and that really like my ears perked up. I was like, I really love that. Was that like a feeling you had when you were singing as a child, or when you were listening to some of your favorite artists?
I think both. I think once I figured out like, oh, I can do this, and I like have a natural knack for this, that was obviously a huge part of the reason of me even wanting to attempt in the first place. And then, finding those artists and being, again, my mum introducing me to just these incredible, big, captivating voices like Shirley Bassey and Aretha Franklin and Etta James, which then sort of like evolved into finding artists like Amy Winehouse and Lauryn Hill and Stevie Nicks. And I just was like, oh yeah, this is it. Why would I want to do anything else? And I remember like very vividly driving home in the car with my parents from the beach or something, and I was in the back seat, and my mum had like a Motown compilation album on, and me getting, and I was like very young, like probably 8 or 9, and me getting like emotional about a song and thinking like, I have no idea who this person is. I don't even know what they're talking about. I don't understand like what they're saying, really, the depths of what they're saying, but the way that it's struck a chord and been able to move me to the point of tears and getting choked up is like such a powerful feeling. And I think that's been what I've wanted to chase ever since, being able to connect with people like that and feel that connection myself. Like when you write something that you love and you're so proud of, when you have that moment in the studio where you're just, where it feels like something else walked into the room and you've made something just bigger than yourself, or even live, like that moment is so incredible. It's just powerful. And I think that sort of clicked for me as well. Like if I can do that, if I can give people that feeling, and I can also feel that way when I'm making music, nothing makes me happier. So why wouldn't I? Like, what an amazing thing to be able to do with life.
Yeah, that feeling. Oof. I want to do a call out to our listeners right now. If you're just joining us partly through this conversation, you're listening to Life Rhythms on IW Radio, and I'm here with my guest, SAYGRACE.
Hi.
Hi. She's a soulful pop artist from Australia, and let's dive into some of this music, because
Let's do it.
I'm low-key sad that we can't get you to sing today, but then I was looking at some of your other interviews, and like everyone is asking you to sing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, she's probably like, God, you know, I'm not no, I can't sing all the time. But voice, what would be the first song you would want people to hear if it was the first time they heard you?
This is a hard question.
Yeah.
I think probably Tragic.
Okay.
Yeah. I think so.
Why Tragic? Can you set it up for us?
I love this song so much. I think the message in it is really beautiful and something that we all need to hear, in terms of like knowing how and when to advocate for yourself and leave a situation when it's no longer serving you. Is like one of the hardest and most courageous things I think we have to do as humans, like to walk away from something that you know you love and you're terrified to leave, but to have the faith that there's something better for you on the other side is so hard to do. And I feel like it's a cycle that just rinses and repeats throughout life, not just in love, but like professionally, even friendship wise, like not doing yourself the disservice of staying in something that is clearly hurting you more than it's helping you. This song is about that, which I love. I love I love the message in that. And then, yeah, I think just sonically, I'm obsessed with the strings in this song. It's just one of my favorites. It's probably the most recent thing I've done in this project that I'm doing, these 3 EPs that I'm in the process of releasing. This is like the most current thing that I've recorded and written. So I think that's also a reason why it's one of my favorites.
And it's off of the album called Deep Rest.
Yes.
And I've been wanting to ask you about that name, Deep Rest. I'm like, oh, I love this. Tell us, please.
Deep Rest actually came from an interview I saw with Jim Carrey, where he's talking about a mentor of his describing depression as your body's form of deep rest. Depressed, deep, depressed.
Oh, wow.
And for me, these 3 EPs were kind of talking about this cycle of growth. And that first stage is a stage of deep rest to me, where everything is so introspective. You're analyzing everything. You're sad. You're like processing. You're trying to find yourself through this big cloud. And that's what deep rest was. And all the records sort of speak to that energy. And then the second EP, New Age, we're sort of coming out of that fog a little bit. Still very much like one foot in the old, one foot in the new, like trying to shake those old patterns and people and habits that are holding you back, but like you know better and you're trying to do better.
Yes.
You're maybe in that like slightly toxic era of like knowing better but not quite doing better. And then the third EP, which I won't say the name of yet, but that's sort of we're through it. It's the sunshine after the storm, where we've made it. We've come full circle, and then it sort of starts all over again. But
yeah. Okay.
Deep Rest is that first block of like, okay, I'm in the trenches right now.
Yeah. Okay. So this is tragic.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you swim in my tide just to muddy my waters? Why would you love me so deep just to play in my mind? Stolen some years, cried every tear, climbed every mountain. Why would I lay down my pride? Let you win every fight. Can't say I didn't try. I had to get up and run. Did it for the both of us. Never had the guts, but I stayed stuck. Had to sever the rope before we killed this boat. Before we went up in smoke. It's tragic. I had to get up and run. Did it for the both of us. You were never the one. We never had it. Oh, and it's tragic. Alone in a new city, we found home in each other. All the things that felt wrong brought us closer together. It gets cold in the winter. Kissed you warm in the kitchen. Shared that darkness with you. Can't give more than I gave you. I needed help if I'm being honest. So I got to work solving your problems. Fuck all my priorities. Save it for a rainy day. I had to get up and run. Did it for the both of us. Never had the guts, but I stayed stuck. Had to sever the rope before we killed this boat. Before we got up in smoke. It's tragic. I had to get up and run. Did it for the both of us. You were never the one. We never had it. Oh, and it's tragic. If I could travel back in time, I'd choose to never love you. Not
Wow.
often fantasize
I would choose to never love you.
how I'd be if I never met you.
Hey, I can relate to that.
If I had the chance, I'd go back where it all began. Take your hand, say not this man, stop it in its tracks. Words of wisdom I could give. You know with me I wouldn't listen. When you kissed him, I know you felt it. Something wasn't right, doesn't matter why. You just had to try, had to play the fire, never learned. Take it from me, would you take it from me? You don't need to learn this one the hard way.
Oh my gosh. I usually play part of the song, but I was like, I can't stop this song. I have to hear every single word, every verse.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh my goodness.
I love the bridge on that one, so I'm happy we got to hear it all the way
Yeah.
through.
What is it that you love about the bridge?
Just the lyrics. For me, like, lyrics are the meat and potatoes of a song. Like,
Yes.
I love melody and the sonics and production of something, but like, what are you saying? That is the thing that sets something that's good to great. Like, that is the separation for me. And there's just so many themes in that song that I feel like are conversations I've unraveled with friends a million times. And like, I don't know, I just love I love the words in the bridge.
As I was listening, my mind was being taken off to like past memories and past experiences and nostalgia. And then you had said that the lyric about I wish I never loved you, right? And that, obviously I commented on that. That's so this if this was about a relationship, about leaving, for I don't know, for you, for me, I was in one in the past where I had to be the one to break it off.
Yeah.
And it was probably the hardest one I ever had to end, because it was like 3 years long. We lived together, had a dog, but it was so toxic and not good, and we weren't right for each other. And I just knew if I didn't do it,
He never would.
he. It was a he. That's so funny.
I'm sorry, that was bold of me to assume.
I know that's so funny. It was a he, yeah. That's so funny. This reminds me. I was in checkout the other day, and there was somebody. It was groceries, and he was talking to the person in front of me in Spanish, and then he looks at me and he's like, "Hi, sir," and he starts talking to me in English, and I like, what makes you think English is my first language? Obviously, like, I'm speaking American, but he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." I'm like, "I'm just joking." I mean, obviously, I don't look remotely anything other than American, but it's just funny where people just look at you and, you know, when I go on vacation, say to like Mexico or something, you know, they know I'm a gringo.
Right. Oh my god.
Yeah, but I was dating a guy at this time, yes, and I had to leave, and I remember the scene of me leaving and like taking my dog, and just he was crying so hysterically, the sadness, and I felt so guilty leaving and so sad. And I just remember just leaving, lovingly leaving and driving away, and then you heal from it, and you're like so glad it happened, and you know it was the right thing. And you were saying earlier about having faith to do something that you don't want to do, or that's difficult.
Yeah, to know that, like, for me, it was like my first time being really what I thought was me being really in love with somebody. And I just had this like thing in my head that like, surely I won't be able to be this way with somebody else. And like, am I really going to feel this way about somebody, and are they going to feel this way about me, and are we going to be able to be this comfortable? And it was a 4-year relationship.
Okay.
So I feel you, and we lived together. It was like you really set into this routine and like life with somebody, and the thought of removing yourself and trying to find that same thing with somebody else, even if it isn't right, is like, I don't know, it's scary. But everybody around me was like, I'm sure people are probably saying this to you, is just like, just trust that like there is more than this.
Oh, you're definitely doing the right thing. Like,
yeah, like
keep going.
you are doing, this is the right decision. There is more for you out there than this.
Why
and
did it take this long for you to make this decision?
Yeah, and you're so convinced that like maybe there isn't, and for whatever reason, and then you do, and then you sort of, again, like the delulu lifts off your body and you're like, holy shit, like I cannot believe that I even contemplated thinking about putting up with that for the rest of my life. Like, which sparks a whole other conversation of like, why would you think that's acceptable to like put yourself through that and think that that's the best that you can do or the most that you deserve? And it's, I think there is those moments where, you walk away and you're like, I'm grateful it happened, and you're happy for the memories. And that sometimes for me, I looked back on it and was like, I really didn't need to do that. Like, I really didn't need to do that.
Same.
And the years and the time wasted is like hard to swallow, because you're in these like pivotal, for me, I was like in my early to, I was like 22 to 25, 26. And it's like, those are really precious years and you don't get that shit back. So like wasting it on the wrong relationship, on the wrong person that actually makes you take a step backwards instead of pushing you further towards your goals and the things you want, it sucks. And and in that bridge, I'm like, I would have stopped it in its tracks. Like, young me wouldn't have listened. I would have been like, what do you know? Like, I just shouldn't have touched that. I didn't need to know about that one, but I did it. And I learned the lesson the hard way. So
Same here. I don't know about you, but for me, when I look back though, at the same time, when I'm going through some of the worst experiences of my life, later on, I look back and I'm like, that was actually one of the best things that ever happened to me. Like for me personally, going through that, I don't regret it, because I know that it made things so bad and difficult that at the time, I was atheist. I didn't believe in anything. I just was like doing it myself and just rejecting everything and anything. And I went through a series of things where of losses and tragedies, and that was the final thing that just took me, like, it's like I needed to go all the way as to like the darkest place I could go. I need to be pushed there. And I reached a breaking point, and I moved out of the city. I broke up. I went home, spent a couple months with my family. I moved out to LA. I was being called out to LA, and I was ignoring it. And then in my life, God, like every single aspect of my life that was not related, they all just like came to a close at the same time with like little like bows on it. Like, everything just kind of came to an end. And I literally had no reason to be there anymore. And I was like, I guess I'm going to move. I mean, timing is crazy. Everything will align as it's supposed to. It always does. Like, anytime I felt like that in life, where I'm just scared of what's going to come next, or feeling lost, or all of that stuff, it's like, in hindsight, you look back and you're like, oh, literally everything worked out perfect. I didn't even know. And I was so worried at the time, but like, it couldn't have worked out better. I mean, we got a beautiful song out of it. I'm sure this isn't the only one that came out of that. I'm sure there's a lot of good music.
Definitely not. But yeah. No, I mean, you, as hard as it is to go through those experiences, it definitely shapes you into the resilient, strong person that you are today. And it's like, you have to have gratitude for those things, as hard as they may be. It's like, okay, I obviously needed that lesson for whatever reason. And, those reasons become clear, I think, as you move into other relationships, or just as you like continue to learn yourself, like being able to really get to the point of, like I said before, of like, why did I think that was okay? Like, what is wrong with me? Like, what kind of broken thing is inside of me that I really was like, nah, that's as good as it's going to get. Like, what? That's so sad. Like, I really felt sad for myself that's how I felt. Like, and now being on the other side of it, I'm just like, oh my God, what the hell was I thinking?
There's that little child inside of us, and sometimes we look back and we realize that we didn't treat that child well in certain seasons, like that we were neglectful of that child, or not even aware that the child was there and needed us to kind of like guide it and shepherd it.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
The society around us encourages us. It's all about like, do it yourself, make your own way. And at least in America, hustle culture. And it's all about like, you get what you put into it. And I think people really struggle with making these decisions because there's such an emphasis on control and maintaining control that in these moments, you called it faith. I call it faith too, of even just breaking up with somebody and just like, it's like the unknown of the future, and everything's going to change, and being willing to, like, when we finally do make the change and we experience that scariness and then things get better, that process then tells us to do it again. And like,
Trust.
Trust. Yeah.
And it becomes like exciting all of a sudden, like the prospect of change, instead of feeling like, oh my God, I don't have control of the situation. Like you said, it's like, okay, anything could happen now. Like the door is wide open for anything and everything that's meant for me to walk right in, and I'm not blocking anything anymore. So that is something to feel joyful and excited about, not scared. But that's human nature, to be scared of the unknown. I'm still like that all the time. But I'm trying to get better at being more excited about when things are out of control and crazy and like, I don't know what's coming next. It's like, well, anything can happen.
Yeah. We're still wired to look out for the saber-toothed tigers.
For sure.
They could be around any corner.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I was just going to say something. My mind went blank. We were talking about faith. We were talking about the changes. I forget what I was going to say. Drats.
Did you say drats?
Yeah. I don't know. Actually, I don't even know where that came from.
Where that comes from. Off and sit.
Get comfy. I was gonna bring. I have my dog Remix. He's a.
I would have loved that.
I really wanted him to come. He's a 9-year-old French bulldog.
Oh.
And I'm like, Remix, let's go. And he just laid in his bed and looked at me, and he's just like,
not today.
I don't want to. I was like, okay, fine. So he's at home. I wish he could have came here.
Oh, I love dogs so much. Obsessed.
I wanted to ask you, I think because I just have so many questions for you. and as we're talking, I'm also thinking I'm like, don't forget this, Ryan. Don't forget that, Ryan. Because like, there's so many things I want to ask you. I'm curious about the artists that you looked up to growing up. Were you the only? How did you get introduced to these soulful artists?
It was all my mum, honestly.
Is it all your mom?
She just had great taste, and she was always listening to like soul, Motown, predominantly like those genres. So it was just a good musical education of, like I had mentioned some before, but Shirley Bassey, Etta James, Ray Charles, Aretha Franklin, Smokey Robinson, Gladys Knight, and then as I got older, I kind of found Amy Winehouse and Lauryn Hill and Stevie Nicks and India Arie and Corinne Bailey Ray.
You're speaking my language, girl. Can you sing Just Like a Star for me, please?
Oh my God, that is like literally, like I want that song to be in my wedding. I love that song.
Oh, I love it too.
I love that song so much.
Just Like a Star. You want to?
Oh gosh, okay.
Just a tiny bit.
Let me think.
Just like, I don't know what your key is.
Just like a star across my sky, just like an angel off my page, you have appeared into my life. Feel like I'd never be the same. Just like a song in my heart, just like oil on my hands, only to love you.
My favorite part's next, just a little.
Oh, and I wonder why it is I don't argue like this with anyone but you. Oh, that song is so special. Keep going.
Do it all the time. Like blowing out my mind. Oh my god.
So good.
Just Like a Star, y'all. Please, if you don't know it,
Oh,
Look it
yeah.
up.
Get acquainted.
And India Ari, I Am Ready for Love.
Yeah. Again, just like this beautiful meeting of like melody and words that just like melt me.
I'm always excited to have artists like you on that share this love for these soulful artists, because because for me it's also a quest to understand why I love these artists so much, because I didn't grow up with the music. All my family, I grew up in the country, so they all listen to country music, rock music, and I was the only one listening to R&B, to Mariah Carey, Lauryn Hill. Lauryn Hill's Miseducation is
Incredible.
Might be my favorite album of all time, at least like top 3. I listened to it on repeat. But I was like the weirdo. Like, I didn't know a single person in my town that liked this music. And I always asked myself, like, why do I love this? What is resonating with me? Like, what resonates with you with these soulful voices and what they're saying?
Well, I think it's like there's so much emotion, obviously. Like, their vocals, just emote in a way that you feel like you're being spoken to directly. And not everybody has that power. Like, as a singer, I don't think everybody has that power. And the few that we listed definitely have that ability to like reach into your soul and feel like they're singing right in your face and move you to the point where you're actually connected to it. And yeah, I think for me, it's like, it's so many women, like a lot of female artists that I just hear myself in. I hear my own experiences in. I hear like, that's how I would feel about that. That's how I would think that would be. Like, it's just, you find yourself in it.
Yes.
And it's hard not to fall in love at that point when you're literally moved to the point of tears or emotion, where you're feeling something so strongly within your soul, and then also you're like, that's me. Like, lyrically, you know?
Yes.
But that's, I think, what it is, but I don't know, it's hard to say.
Because you have that classic sounding voice, and you're listing these artists that are of that classic era.
Yeah. I mean, that's so important to me. Like, I want to, it's not worth it unless I'm trying to pave a way that creates timeless music that people can revisit in the way that we're still revisiting those albums and songs now. Like, those songs are so old, and like some of them, you know, I'm talking about Aretha Franklin. It's like I could still play her songs today and feel just as moved.
Yeah. And Shirley Bassey was inspired Aretha. For Aretha, I looked up to her.
Yeah. So yeah, to me, it's like, that's being able to create music that's timeless and classic is 1000% like at the core of everything that I try to do and want out of music. And that's a combination of like vocals and the actual songs. But for sure, that's a huge compliment, because I definitely strive to give that feeling.
Yes. Yeah, you definitely are. I think for me, it was growing up, and I had a normal upbringing, but I didn't feel connected really to my world around me, my culture and stuff, and my town, and it just felt out of place. And then I would hear these songs, and this kind of music was like the one thing where I felt something, and I felt connected in a way that I didn't in any other aspect of my life.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like a refuge for me. Like the Bodyguard soundtrack,
So good.
Listen to that on repeat.
Yeah. I mean, Whitney's just an absolute beast. Another just crazy voice. Yeah.
You had mentioned about the classic songs and now, and that would be a perfect opportunity to cover You Don't Own Me. Adobe listeners, if you're joining us, I want to do a little shout out to you. You're listening to Life Rhythms on Adobe Radio, and my guest is SAYGRACE, and we're having like a fireside chat talking about her influences. She's a soulful pop artist out of Australia, and this show, it's not a typical interview type show where we ask standard questions. It's about I'm wanting to get to know the artist, pull back the curtain on their music and their humanity. And before the show, actually, I had sent your manager kind of the idea of like, if you were going to write a memoir, like if you were going to write the table of contents for a memoir, like what would the table of contents be? What would like the key moments be? And that's actually inspired, like for future guests, I think I'm going to do some kind of like, I'm going to do an activity where they're like working on their memoir or something. When they're here, maybe I'll give them stickers and they'll like
that's
something interactive. Like I wish I could have done that with you today, but it was just all like so last minute.
Yeah, of course.
But did you think about any of that? Like
I did. I mean, it's so hard because I feel like in some ways I'm like still at these early stages, but
okay, well, let me ask the second question.
Okay.
Is in your memoir, are we talking about, do you think your memoir is like Harry Potter 1, or is it going to be like a Harry Potter 7 series where it's...
I don't know. I haven't thought about it really.
There's no wrong answer. It's just kind of like where you
said
at
that,
right
I
now.
thought sort of like chapters, I guess.
Yeah, but I'm also just throwing that out there too.
Yeah, I don't know. Is it more than one book? Maybe. We'll see, I guess. But
if it's one book, where do you think you're at in the book right now?
I think I'm like a quarter of the way through.
Okay.
Yeah. Like we're not like quite halfway yet, but we're still in that. To me, I'm still like very much in those beginning stages. Like even though I've been doing this for so long and I have had these moments of success, it's like the tip of the iceberg for what I still want to do. So still, yeah, I think we're fairly early on in the book. Has it been a pretty dense quarter of a book for you? For sure.
I mean, you've lived quite the life already, right? Are you, Wikipedia says you're 27.
I'm 27.
Okay,
yeah.
which is very interesting to me because of the 27 Club. I wanted to ask you about that because like you meant Amy Winehouse and you're now at the age of, and also Janis Joplin.
Yeah. Oh, another huge influence as well, by the way. I forgot about Janis.
Yeah.
Incredible.
I'm seeing you list these influences of people that died when they were 27 and you're 27. And that I had a little mental note to ask you about that. Like you're their age now. How do you feel about that? Like, what do you think? That they were your age.
It's just so sad because it's so young. Like now being this age, like I can't imagine. Yeah, it's so horrible. So horrible to think about.
Horrible.
But
also you touched on the journey, some of their journey. Like, you started out in Australia and then you're doing the writing sessions and then we're going to be playing soon the You Don't Own Me with Quincy Jones and G-Eazy, and I saw a mention of Puff Daddy in that you worked with him or that he was part of some project. So it's like, I don't know all the details of that, but it just tells me like you were in the world, like you've seen some of it. You had #1 hit songs and then now you're putting out, other projects. And so like you've gotten to see lots of the industry.
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely been exposed to a lot. Definitely been through a lot. But it all sort of feels like these building blocks that have kind of set me up to arrive at where I am now, to fully take the reins and do things the way that I want to do them and in a way that actually serves me. Like I think coming into the industry so young, you're surrounded by, and it's a tale we've heard a million times, but you really are like in these very like vulnerable years and you're surrounded by all of these adults' opinions that you really care about. Like I was 15, 16 coming in and I just wanted to make everybody happy and proud and I was living my dream and like things were going well. So I was just like, okay, I just need to keep making everybody proud, keep doing the best that I can. And you're not really thinking about yourself. You're not really thinking, well, is that fair? Or is this how I want things to be? It's an interesting position because you sort of feel grateful and you don't want to do anything to mess it up. But at the same time, because you are so young, people definitely take advantage. People definitely overstep. And I've had my fair share of situations like that. So it's a blessing to now be independent, doing this completely by myself, working with one of my best friends who's known me since I was 12 as my manager and team, who I trust, beyond measure. And we are literally doing everything. Like I'm involved in every single step and everything is me pouring my heart and soul into it. It's a different beast when you're investing your own money. It's like, yeah, you're betting on yourself in every sense of the word. And it's liberating. it's scary. It's a roller coaster of emotions. But had I not had the career experiences I've had so far, I don't know if I would be able to do what I'm doing now, and feel confident that I can do it. And obviously I'm just starting. We've put out like one project as an independent situation. So we're still kind of learning the ropes, and it's a big difference from having that major label machine behind you promoting to essentially now like all we have is social media promoting a project, and that stuff is so fleeting. Nobody can like bank on a viral moment or any of that stuff. Is just like you just put your best foot forward and continue to crank out content. And it's also so nice to be able to like consistently release music for the first time in a long time. Like usually you're having to wait on approvals from all these people in a label and being stuck in situations for months, sometimes years at a time, not being able to put anything out. And now it's like I can decide to put out a song next month and it happens.
Yes.
Because I'm in the driver's seat, and I've never experienced that before. Even from being in this industry from 15, I've not had the luxury of being able to do that. So yeah, I don't even remember what the question was. I've now gone on a giant rant.
Well, we're talking about your experience having been in the industry and you've seen kind of the traditional machine aspect. You've experienced that, and then now you're also experiencing the independent aspect of it.
Yeah, you had said it's been a dense quarter, and it has.
Yeah,
it has been a very like concentrated, intense quarter so far, but necessary, I think. And I'm glad that I'm like, I think I definitely could have gone in a different direction. We're talking about the 27 Club. I definitely could have gone in a different direction, and dealt with things in a different way.
What do you think prevented you from that?
I don't know. It's hard to say. I think one, I've like never really struggled with addiction or anything like that. I'm not a big drinker. Don't really do drugs, occasionally for fun, but like, like I'm not. I don't feel as though I need much to like regulate my emotions. And I think as well, I didn't experience the level of fame that somebody like an Amy Winehouse was experiencing. That was a totally different beast. I don't know what would have happened if I would have been there. So I can't really speak on it, but there was enough like trauma and tragedy and loss and almost and what ifs that definitely I could have dealt with things in a more self-inflicting, like
unhelpful,
sabotaging way. But I think I just, and I'm not to say that I didn't have like those dark moments, because I definitely did. And that's sort of like where this whole concept of deep rest and these EPs was born from, of that place of like really truly being so lost, not even knowing if I could do this anymore, not knowing if I should. And I have never doubted that before. And reaching that place of, oh my God, what if this is like all just been a complete waste of time and I'm not actually supposed to do this? Truly feeling like that.
Why were you feeling like maybe it would be a waste of time? Like what were you looking at? Just kind of like the gap between where you wanted to be and where you thought you were in the moment, and you're like, well, maybe there's that gap because I'm not on the right path. I've had these feelings too.
I think I've always had extremely high expectations for myself, and coming out of my label situation and then, you know, wanting to do this independently but not really understanding how or knowing if I could, and also being in the thick of the relationship that we sort of touched on before. This was like right in the smack bam middle of COVID as well. Like there was a lot happening in the world, in my own personal world and the like external world, that
the world was going through a deep rest also.
Yeah, like it was a lot happening, and I had never really doubted before. I wouldn't even like allow myself to have that kind of thought, or especially not speak it out loud. Like I would be too scared at what the like consequences of breathing life into that doubt would be.
That is so powerful. A lot of people don't know that about the power of speaking words.
Yeah.
Is that something you learned from a young age about the power of words?
I think like when we talk about manifestation or like willing something into your reality, your beliefs are actually all you have. It's not, so of course your words play into that, but like what you really at your core believe in is what your reality is. So it's like, for me, it had always just been this very fundamental core belief that this is what I was supposed to do. There was no other path for me. I had put everything into this since I was a child. I didn't finish school. I didn't get a degree. I didn't care about anything else. Wasn't passionate about any other potential career options. It was like, this is what I'm supposed to do, and this is the only thing I'm going to do, and it's going to work, and I'm going to get what I want. I'm going to be able to do what I want to do and make music for the rest of my life till I'm old and grey. And yeah, like that was my core belief. So the first time that was ever like, I mean, these little experiences just like slowly begin to chip away at that, right? Like that's why we talked about when you're a kid, when you're younger, it's so easy because you're just so naive in a way, and you just don't really know all the bad things that can happen or the things that can knock your confidence and make you feel
or
like
even the illusions.
Exactly. And then you go through life and it chips away at that confidence and that knowing bit by bit, and then all of a sudden that like foundation is shaking and cracked. And for the first time ever, I was like, fuck, like, okay, maybe I'm not supposed to do this. And that coming to that realization was like horrifying in itself because I'd never felt that way before. And I don't even really know what brought me back, but
that was going to be my question.
Yeah, I don't even really know what it was. I know that I went back to Australia for a little bit, and that was like the worst of it. I was in the thick of it back home because, again, I think it's sort of isolated. Even though I was surrounded by like family and loved ones, not being around other creatives, not having the luxury of being able to like, oh, I'm going to go to the studio and like do something, whatever, make something, create something. And then that tall poppy syndrome making me feel even more isolated. It was like rock bottom. And then I came back to America, signed a distribution deal, started to put out music, and started to remember like, oh no, this is what you're supposed to do. Like, what are you talking about? There's nothing else that, like, this is it. This is it. It has to work, and it will. Just keep going. Like the analogy of like you being at the top of the mountain and like giving up just with that little bit left to go, and you don't know that you're so close to the other side. It's like you have to kind of keep that mentality of like, you just don't know. And like, what a shame to give up when you're in the, like, it's always darkness before dawn, when you're in that last little bit and everything feels truly like you're just absolutely fucked. Sorry, I'm swearing. I don't know if that's allowed.
Yeah.
Like when everything feels like truly fucked and you're just like, I don't even see a way out of this. I don't know how the fuck like I'm supposed to move forward from here, is usually when everything shifts and things start going your way and the change that you need comes to fruition. So again, I don't even know what the question was.
I've heard other artists talk about this too, that now successful artists, I've heard in various ways that right before you're about to have your breakthrough, it's sometimes it's usually the hardest season of your life, where it's almost like it's like, it's like God's like, you sure you want this? It's a test,
yeah.
Or, you sure you want this?
For sure. Yeah, I think that's definitely, it was testing that belief in yourself. For sure.
I also, from my worldview, I feel like when you're doing what you're born to do and what like the plan on your life, it's like when you're about to really achieve that and step into that path, I feel like there is a lot of resistance in the world to prevent you from that, because there's so much power when you make it in, when you step into that path.
Yeah.
There's
for
so
sure.
much power.
For sure.
Like good power.
Yes, absolutely. And just connection. And yeah, I think it's
like
so
if you're
hard.
meant to like help people and bring them peace and bring them understanding about their lives and relationships through your music and bring them these special moments that through your voice and your songs that maybe they're sharing with loved ones and these memories, you know, like if that's what you're been like destined to do, then there can also be resistance right before you're about to step into that. If there's if there's forces out there that don't want that sort of thing to happen.
And I think in the same breath, it's like there's also this sort of like shedding of physical things in your world that might just be in the way as well. Like whether that's your team or friendships or relationships or anything that's just like also preventing you to do what you need to do or believe what you need to believe in order to keep going. Like the people around you have to like uplift you, and you can't be surrounded by anyone who's going to contribute to that doubt, you know. Not to say that you should be surrounded by people that are gonna like blow your head up and make you an egomaniac either, but like people that love you and encourage you to do what you want to do and that believe in you. Like sometimes that's everything. Like in those truly like low moments, a phone call to a friend that will be like, are you joking me? Like, what are you talking about? Of course this is what you're meant to do. Like, you're fine, just don't give up just yet. Like you're in the trenches right now. Yeah, I get it, but like what else? What's the alternative
Like,
here?
what else
Like,
are you gonna do?
Yeah, what else are you gonna do? Were you gonna give up? No, like you have to keep fighting.
Yeah.
Like, what are we even talking about? Like you sometimes need that reality check from good people around you who love you and know you, that can bring you back to that purpose and that belief, and like instead of crack at the foundation that you've had since you were a kid of whatever the dream might be, glue a piece back on.
Oh,
you know?
yeah, I love that. I went through this recently, and what helped for me was that I surrendered to it, and I was like, you know what? I don't know if I'm supposed to go down this path. I'm open. If I'm being called to do something else, I will do it. I'll make change. I don't have to force this thing to happen. But if I'm supposed to be doing something else, like make it obvious, make it super obvious, and I will do it.
Yeah.
And I was kind of in that posture for a period of time, and wasn't called to anything else.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. And I think also we talked about spirituality a little bit, but like again in those points where you're like, okay, is this the right thing? Am I on the right path? Being able to like give it to God or spirit or source or your guardian angels, whoever, the universe, whatever you believe in, to me was, I think, a part of coming back to that purpose as well, and that feeling of knowing. Because like, and that's happened throughout life. If I couldn't like break down and be like, I give up, I don't know what you want me to do anymore, but this is too hard. So if this is what's meant for me and you want this for me and that's your will, then like please fucking help me out here. Like take it off my hands. Wow. And yeah, it just from that point on, it usually does just things start to just click into place. And it might sound crazy to some people, but like that's honestly the truth. Like, and I'm so grateful that I'm able to have that. Because not everybody feels like they can do that, or that maybe they've not tried, or that's just not the way that they've been brought up to, or whatever. Like that's not, you know, not everybody prays in those moments of like truly devastating, just I don't know what's going on, those breakdown, like spiraling moments. Like, but I'm so grateful to be able to do that. And have that like sense of relief that, okay, it's not all on me. Like there is things at work here that are beyond my control and beyond what I can see for myself right now. And I just have to trust that like, as long as I'm doing what I need to do and I'm, you know, and it's coming from like a place of purity of like, you know, just genuine passion and love for this craft and this gift, then things are gonna work out.
Yeah. I want to ask you about the gift, because something I went through recently was a realization, humbly, that I realized maybe a week or so ago that I went a good portion of the past 10 plus years basically taking credit for my own gifts and talents. And like when I look at the first part of my life when I was a kid and like the experiences I had from like the public, those were signs of me to like, I would perform and do music and stuff. And it was like, there were gifts and talents. And at first I was experiencing like the feedback, and that's what encouraged me to pursue a career. But when I went out into the world, regrettably, my mind switched to like, this is me, this is my talent, I'm the one doing this, and I'm gonna go out there, I'm gonna make it for myself, I'm gonna work really hard and hustle, and like it's all on like the work I put into it. And then it got really hard, and I kind of lost that magic, and I was like, why is this so hard? And then finally I realized, for me personally, a couple weeks ago, I was like, oh, it's because I like, God gave me these gifts and these talents, and I was taking credit for it, and I wasn't like, when we're giving gifts, there's a reason for it. So I was kind of like, for a while, keeping them out of the picture, you know. And then once I like let that go, and I was like, oh, this is all you. Like, I just want you to do your thing through me. And I DJ, you know. So you get caught up in like, I don't know, you know, people are taking photos of you, and they're doing the video camera thing, and you got press photos, and you're like, on one aspect, you have to promote yourself and put yourself out there, but another aspect, even putting the religion aspect aside, there's also like, just people can get caught up in like the pride and the ego, or what, you know. This was my experience. What have you gone through any of this, or have you always had a posture of, this is
Yeah, I don't think I've ever felt like a claim over it like that. I feel like it's always been a bit out of my control, and I'm almost pleasantly surprised sometimes by hearing something back, and in those, really, when I think about the moments where I'm like actually impressed, because I'm so very rarely impressed with myself, like, and I'm not even trying to say that in a dickheady way, but like, it's so rare for me to get off stage or write something and genuinely feel like, oh, that was it, that I felt that one. So rare for me to have those moments. And when they do happen, I am definitely not in fucking control. So like, I know it's not me. Okay. I know it's not me. I know that like the songs that I feel the most passionately about, the most proud of, the most excited to show people, have usually been like me getting on a mic and freestyling out, you know, gibberish basically, and then piecing the song together from there. And at that point, it's like stream of consciousness, whatever's coming out. There's the live shows that I've played where I felt like I've got off stage and been like, oh, I really felt that one. I really felt like, you know, we were together and like there was magic in the air. Like, I definitely, you know, it doesn't matter about the preparation. It's like, it's beyond my control when those moments happen. So I think I've never really seen it as like me. It's just something, and I think also because it's been there since I was a kid, it's like, I can't really take credit over that. It's like, it was literally just, there was never a point where I didn't know how to sing, or I like went to lessons and learned how to sing. It was like, I just always sung. Yeah. So at that point, how is it I didn't do it. I didn't do this shit. It's just there. Yeah. And I'm just lucky I get that I'm like the vessel, I guess.
Yes.
But.
And to me, that's why you're sitting here 27, dramatically in a different place than some of these other artists. Maybe, because you've always maintained this posture. And I share my story just as a warning to anybody out there listening, like, whatever you believe, it's just about recognizing that it's not all you. You know, but it also, it could be like somebody who's like a model and like super gorgeous, and you have people commenting you, or someone with like an incredible voice, you know, like you, the comments that you get, the average person potentially could fall into that, of like being complimented and internalizing it, and but you sit here and you're a very humble person.
Thank you.
Very sweet, humble person, and I'm just so happy to see that.
I think it comes back to the why as well. Like, if you're chasing something for like the fame and like the superficial things about, quote unquote, making it, then of course, like, that's incredibly ego driven. Like, So I think, yeah, if your why is like, I'm doing this just because I really love it, like you're doing this because it is like a form of helping in a way, or healing in a way, or however you want to look at it, then like you're not gonna be gassed up by what other people are saying or moments or experiences that sort of stroke your ego and that kind of stuff. It's like, if it's coming from a true place of like purity and like, you know, I'm doing this from a place of love, not because of what I can get out of it. And it's not everybody, like, I think in that sense, I'm not saying that like it's not nice to be recognized, because it is. It's lovely to be recognized by your peers, by other people. It's a huge compliment when people can come up to you and say that something helped them or made them feel a certain way, but that shouldn't feed your ego. It should just sort of, again, I think, reaffirm that like, like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is the right thing. This is the right path. Like, instead of stroking the ego. But yeah, I don't know if that makes sense, but
yeah, it does. And I also am thinking too, humans are really good at bullshitting ourselves. Like, we could also go through a season where we're like, no, it's not, my ego's not in it. Like, I'm in it because I really love helping people. And then you experience a moment where you actually do lose something significant, like getting dropped by a label or losing a gig or a tour or something. And then the way you're feeling about it could be a little clue of like, oh wait, maybe I do care a little bit too much about.
Yeah.
Because like you said, we're all born with it. We all want to be liked and fit in. Nobody wants to be an outcast of society. Like, that goes back to the tribal days. Like, you didn't want to be, you didn't want your like tribal community to ban you, to banish you. So part of us is wanting to be accepted, and it's just about like finding that balance.
Of course, yeah. I mean, it's natural to want both of those things, but I think you have to keep coming back to like your actual reason why. And if your reason why is like, I just want to be famous and like blah blah blah, then like maybe you're not pursuing something for the right reasons. But if you are coming from a place of like, no, I have value in this is my way to create a better like corner of the world in some sort of capacity, then like I think you're good if you keep reminding yourself of that. But like, yeah, it's obviously so easy to get sucked into the superficial things that come with it. I've almost looked at that as like a negative byproduct. Like, I don't like, I think it sounds horrible to be like so in the spotlight like that. Like, that sort of sounds terrifying to me. And yeah, I think the positive parts of reaching that level of fame or attention or success would be the recognition and the sort of, I don't know, but all the other stuff that comes with it is kind of the fucked up part about it, if
Absolutely,
anything. Like,
yes, yeah. It's a blessing that you came out of Australia, that you came out of that culture. Because even though it might be harder for the average person to break through that kind of like tall poppy syndrome vibe, when you do break through it and still pursue your career, but now you have that foundation of that culture with you now. Because every person I've ever talked to in the industry that's from Australia, there is a common thread of this humbleness, sweetness. I haven't really met anybody that like growing up in America. It's different, you know. Like,
yeah, there's pros and cons to both. Like, Americans are definitely better at talking their shit, and that's a talent in itself as well. Like, being able to advocate for yourself and know like your strengths is also like, there's nothing wrong with that, but also like everything in good measure.
You need a balance.
Yeah, you need a balance. You need to be able to like, no, I know that I do this. I know I can do this. I know I'm good at it. Like, you have to know that, but also like not be a dick about it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, Grace, don't be a dick about it.
I'll try not to be a dick about it, guys.
We're coming towards the end of the show. I had promised earlier I would play some of the You Don't Own Me, because that's what put you on the map, right?
Yeah,
that was your
for
number
sure.
one aria. And And also I'm going to play it. Those of you probably recognize it. And also too, I noticed that, the Leslie Gore song, right?
Yeah, that's You Don't Own Me.
And Leslie, so this went number one in 2015 in June. I think it was June or July, June. And Leslie passed away in
A few
February.
months later, yeah.
No, before.
Oh, right, before. My bad. So
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, that's correct.
You redid this classic song and she passes away right before. And I don't know if that's significant. I mean, she had a whole lifetime of being like adored for the song. That was her calling card song. But I don't know. I just thought that was interesting that that happened.
Yeah, I think having Quincy's blessing, obviously him being part of the original, and then having his blessing to remake it for this generation, was obviously a huge factor of even wanting to do it in the first place. I mean, it was never even it wasn't even my idea. He had heard my voice on some other records and told my manager and the other producer on the song, Parker Aguili, who's an incredibly talented individual, and they'd worked together on some other stuff. He had basically said, like, you've got full range of the catalog if you want to remake everything, but I guess hearing my voice was like, but I think this would be really cool to do this again, and sort of repackage this really powerful message for women, but in, this generation. So having him sort of come up with the idea and then be part of the process and approving everything was, we wouldn't have done it without that, because it out of just out of respect, I would never attempt to like completely cover something unless the original creators were involved, and we were just lucky that he was,
Yeah. And this went number one like a month apart from your brother's first number one. Is that right?
Yeah.
That's
so we
so
were like
wild.
one and two on the charts, and like,
and it was both of your first number ones, right?
Yeah. And he'd be like number one, and then I go to number two, and then I go number one, he go to number two. It was like, so it was such a funny time. And I went back to Australia to do like all the promotion, and I'd like walk in a radio station and he'd be coming out, and it was so wild. It's really wild.
That's so wild. Okay,
Yeah.
let me play this. You Don't Own Me. I'm searching it online. You Don't Own Me. Okay, here we go. Say Grace with G-Eazy. And I this was with RCA, right? And you had asked G-Eazy just to jump on, and he's like, oh, yeah, sure. All right, here, this is it.
You don't own me.
Oh, we have to play just a little bit of Boy Zane shit, just like a little bit, too.
Okay, I'm down.
For my LGBT listeners. They're going to love that one.
Well, let's go. But I'm Gerald, and I can always have just what I want. She's the baddest, I would love to flaunt. Take her shopping, Yves Saint Laurent. But nope, she ain't with it though. All because she got her own dough. Boss, if you don't know, she could never ever be a broke.
You don't own me. I'm not just one of your many toys. You don't own me. Don't say I can't go with other boys. Don't tell me what to do, and don't tell me what to say. Please, when I go out with you, don't put me on display. You don't own me. Don't try to change me
Okay.
in any way.
I have a really fond memory of this song.
Do you?
Yes,
Aw.
yes, because anytime I hear this song, I think about ex-boyfriend who has passed away. And this song was one of his favorite songs, like the original, with like the First Wives Club.
Yeah.
And I had never,
such an incredible like cinema moment of that ending. So sick.
I never knew the song until but he would like put on like a bathrobe, and he would be like dancing around and be like, you don't own me. And he'd be performing it, and like kind of like, in his slippers and stuff. And so I always think about him. He loved that song.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's such a great song. I mean, the original is unbeatable, and that moment in the movie is so like just iconic.
First Wives Club.
Yeah. So good. That's so sad though. I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
It's horrible.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about him on the show before, but this is one of the sweet moments that I have of his. Okay, I just want to play just a little bit of Boys Ain't Shit.
Go for it.
Because I know we've got, let's see, Boys Ain't Shit. Because we got some pop stans, a lot of pop stans that watch this podcast. I know they're appreciate this. Oh, wait, should I play the one with Tate?
Whatever you want.
I like the original.
I'm not here for it. If you want me, act like it, act like it.
The melodies are so good.
You only hit me on a late night. I never seen you in a daylight. You wonder why I got an attitude. You make it hard for me to play nice. Have I become a habit? Quick trip on your lips doing acid. And I know you think it's so cool, but it really ain't attractive. Why do you waste all my time? Keep on telling me lies, cause you know I'll come right back when you don't even write back. These boys ain't shit. I'm not here for it. If you want me, act like it, act like it. These boys get pissed, cause I won't stand for it. If you want the sweet life, then act like it. And it's
That melody's going to be on repeat in my head all day, all day, all day, all day.
Oh gosh, sorry.
Why? Are you serious?
Oh, I get annoyed when something gets stuck in my head for too long.
This is common on my show. I have a guest on. Like, I had Bonnie McKee on, and she wrote, like, a bunch of pop stuff,
course,
Katy Perry
yeah.
stuff. So, like,
Legend.
like American Girl was in my head for a week, and like
gosh.
Kaisa's Hideaway was in my song for a week. And
Oh, man.
this reminds me, just real quick, because I wanted to, I've been a couple of times I wanted to mention earlier, when I had Kaisa on, she was talking about being on a major label and independent, and she had said, and I wanted to just pass this on to you, like what she learned is that some artists are like meant to be major label artists, like that's like what they need and what they're like, what they're, where they're at their best, and then some artists are at their best as independent. And Kaisa realized for her that she's at her best as an independent artist,
Right.
because she gets to do the music she wants to do, say what she wants to say, put it out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, it's a good point. I think I share the same belief. Like, some people do need that structure. And I think sometimes I, feel like that too. Like, anybody can benefit from the extra support and the financial support.
Yeah.
Like, let's be real, but having the freedom to create what you want to create, put it out when you want to put it out, make the visuals you want to create to support it, build the world out, is like, it's just different. It's just different. And until you're at like a certain level where the label is essentially just, they're never going to say no to you, you are definitely bending and to their desires, their wants, their opinions, and you sort of trying to make it work and keep everybody happy. So there's benefits and negatives to both.
Yeah.
But you're never going to get that freedom, I don't think, especially in like when you are building and growing and like creating this world for fans to come in and like have that connection. I think doing that independently, there's a lot of benefit in having the freedom to do that, to release consistently, to create consistently, like all of it, I think. Yeah.
When you first start out, you don't have the leverage, and the industry tries to conform you to their image.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that you did have that piece to start your career out with, because I'm glad the world knows about you, that they're aware of you, and that you're not having to start out as an independent artist where like,
Yeah.
you got your foot in the door and you've had a level of success, and I'm excited for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm excited too. I'm really happy to get this music out and then just keep going as well. There's like, I feel like I'm just itching to make new stuff now, because it's been such a long process getting here to be able to put this stuff out, that it's like, I'm really happy that it's going to be heard, but I'm also just like, okay. and what's next.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you know.
Awesome.
So
Well, we're going to close this out. We're coming to the end of the show.
amazing. Thank you so much.
This was
It's been a pleasure.
I'm so happy to have you on here. Adobe family, if you came part way through and you're like, what's going on? This is Life Rhythms radio show, and my guest is SAYGRACE, and she's a soulful pop artist out of Australia. For those of you and also I want to say, if you're listening to this on the radio, first of all, the version that airs on the radio is 52 minutes. This interview is actually about an hour and 20 minutes. So
We've yapped.
yeah. But I say that because I want people to know it's also full video. As long as whatever the demons that sabotaged my last interview, hopefully they didn't make around to. I don't think nothing's flashing. Last time things were flashing, and I was like, this doesn't look right.
That is crazy.
And the secretary, she was the only one here. She's like, no, I think it's fine. And yeah, so nothing's flashing. I think we're good. But so the full video version, the full hour, 20-minute conversation is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Adobe's website, the app. So if you want to go back, do that. And please check out SAYGRACE's music. She's got quite the catalog already.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on the show, Grace.
Thank you for having me.
Yay. Okay. See you guys next time.
Something they can't control. And if the stars don't shine,